I'm still working on not being mad for a long time. Okay? So, what does that mean? I am still pretty pissed about what happened to my mom and my son on Saturday. Now, I get over things. Oh, cool, Denver. I love that. That's funny. I love that. So yeah, I'm still mad about what happened to my mom and my brother, I mean my son on Saturday. Like you can do something to me and I can get over it quicker, but you try my mama and you create a terrible experience and environment for my son and I see red. Like I literally want to go for blood. So let me tell y'all what happened if you did not catch my reel from the other day. So my mom went to this diner. It's called Lester's Diner in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's right by the airport. And so my mom was dropping me off to the airport as I flew out to come back to Atlanta because I have a bunch of speaking engagements, but my son stayed in Florida. Okay. So on the drive to the airport, I found a restaurant for them because my son likes breakfast. He loves breakfast. It's his favorite meal of the day. And so my mom wouldn't have to look for it. I found Lester's Diner, which is right by the airport. And I did something right by the airport because I knew my kid was hungry. I had eaten there maybe once several years ago, but I was like, hey, I think I remember the food being decent. You know, something about diners and breakfast, and it just takes me back. I was like, yeah, try this place. So she goes in. Now, my mom, this really shouldn't matter, but I just want to set the stage for you. My mom is this 66-year-old woman. She's super fit. She's super prim and proper. Like, honestly, my mom makes me feel like I was raised by wolves sometimes because she is so prim and proper. And some of the things I say, she would never say even some of the things I say online, she's like, "Oh, are you sure you want to say that?" Right? So she doesn't really like to push the status quo. She thinks about living up to stereotypes and all of these other things. I'm actually helping to decolonize her. Okay. So she's super classy lady, prim, proper. Um, she tips really well. She's really good to people. She believes in pouring into people. She owns a preschool. She opened a preschool in the poorest or second poorest city in all of Florida because she felt like God called her there to work on the literacy rate with our young children, right? So this is just the person she is. She's an absolutely incredible person. She will give the shirt off her back. Surprisingly, she actually traumatized me from giving because gave so much. Like I became a really good giver in my adult age. But like growing up, my mom, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. My mom would take Christmas from us to give to someone she felt was more needy, right? I'm like, girl, we needy. What are we saying? Give it to us. We don't have the money, right? And so this is just who she is. Like, I cannot begin to tell you all the things she's done to just help people, randomly people she knows, people she doesn't know. She just has a really big heart. And so she goes into this restaurant to get my son some dinner or some breakfast, and they sit down. They're looking at the menu. Mind you, my son has a huge appetite for breakfast. So oftentimes, kids' meals are not enough. So he's with grandma. Of course, he's going to do the most. And so he decides to get an adult meal. And it has like pancakes and eggs and this and that and three this, three that. It's just an abundance of food. And so the waitress comes over there. Her name is Carol W. She doesn't even speak to my mom. She doesn't say hello. She doesn't do anything. And she's just like, all right, what you're going to order. Okay. So my mom's telling me the story when I get on the phone with her afterwards because I'm like, how was it? How was the experience? How was the food? All those things. And I heard her voice, like she sounded kind of dry, and at first she wasn't going to say anything, but I pried because I be knowing my mom, okay? And so then she's like, I just want to tell you about the lady, our waitress. I'm like, girl, what happened with the waitress? Tell me, okay? Because she knows I don't be playing with the people. I don't play with the people, not even a little bit. I don't have time for injustice. Nope, not a little bit. So she was like, well, the lady just walked over. And when I told her what my son wanted, she said, I told her he wanted the all slam, whatever it was, at the diner instead of the kids' meal. And she insisted that I should get the kids' meal. And my mom was like, no, he wants this meal. Let's just say it's called the all slam for all intents and purposes. I think they have an all slam at Denny's, and I was a Denny's waitress in college. Maybe that's what I'm saying, all slam. I don't know. But let's say she said, no, he wants the all slam. The waitress like, no, you really should get the kids meal. And she's like, no, I know what I want. And then the waitress goes to say, oh no, that is rather expensive. It's very expensive. Wait, what? It's very what? Hey, Instagram, how are you? And my mom's like, I'm just telling the story again for my reel. My mom's like, I didn't ask about price. She is flabbergasted that this lady is even mentioning how expensive can a breakfast be at a diner. Let's let the people know, okay? How expensive can a breakfast be at a diner? Nonetheless, it shouldn't matter. If she is ordering this, she must know what she's got to pay for it, okay? So she's like, no, it's rather expensive. And my mom's like, I didn't ask about price. Get me, and now she's mad, like, get me, please, what I asked for. And she's like, okay. So then my mom proceeds to order her meal. Now, my mom doesn't eat much. She eats like a bird. It's probably why she's so thin, okay? And for the last 30 years, she has been ordering a cup of hot water, and she orders several lemon. Why? Because it helps with her digestion when she's eating. And so she's learned that this is what works for her over 30 years. We have been out to eat hundreds of times, and I've never, ever heard someone give her a hard time about the lemon that she ordered. And so then the lady says, oh, well, I'm going to have to charge you $1.50 for lemon. My mom's like, may I ask why? And she's like, because some people come here and try to make their own tea. What? So my mom's like, I'm not making my own tea. I want lemon water. I just want the water hot. And as a matter of fact, my grandson also wants lemon for his water. Well, that's going to be $1.50. Then my mom's now mad. Like, so you're not going to charge me for that? Okay. As a matter of fact, I would like to see a policy that says you charge $1.50 for lemon. So they go back and forth for just a second, and my mom, or the lady, then just, okay, and she goes to put the order in. Now, many of you might be like, why didn't she get up and leave? Well, because she has a hungry 6-year-old. And then she would have to research where another place is, all this other stuff. So they said, we're just going to stay. And so the lady brings the food back, doesn't say anything. And my mom says the lady keeps hovering, okay? Not checking in with her to see if she wants more food or see if she wants more to drink or to service her in any kind of way. She's hovering. And my mom's like, you could tell she's hovering to see if I'm going to pull out a tea bag, a punk-ass tea bag. Like she's trying to police the tea bag. What? And so I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And so the next question I asked is, yes, how are you going to be so concerned about the price of the meal and then upset and trying to charge for lemon? Exactly. I'm like, High Plains Yoga Mommy, I could not believe it. Now, socioeconomics should not even come into this. This shouldn't even matter. It shouldn't matter. But my mom owns a very successful business. So if the lady played her cards right, she could have walked out there feeling real good, okay? Eating real good, because that's just who my mom is. But nonetheless, that really shouldn't even matter. It does not matter what you make. It does not matter what your socioeconomic status is. When someone looks at you, they should just look at you as the best of you. They should look at you as with the benefit of the doubt, not of the worst of you, right? So, anyways, so my mom tells me about this. I'm seething. I'm seething. For those of you who've been following me for a while, I don't like injustice. I don't like racial bias at all. Okay? Now, some things that are done by mistake, and I understand that. Microaggressive behaviors happen by mistake, and we can talk about that and you can learn from it. But this was blatant and very overt racial bias. And so my mom, I asked her, I said, did you tip her? She said, I sure did. She said, I only tipped 20%. I said, well, why the hell you tipped her? I said it just like that. Because I wouldn't have given her shit. Okay? I said, why the hell you tipped her? She said, well, because, hi, day in the life of an island wife. I'm just ranting about a story about injustice and racial bias. So I said, Mom, why the hell you tipped her? And she was like, because I will not. I wanted to work against or combat her stereotypes of this poor black woman. That's what my mom said with the air quotes. And I was like, well, I wouldn't have given her shit. And so my mom's like, nope, I'm not going to play into her stereotypes. But side note, so you're the one being abused as the black woman, and you still have to think about how you're representing your race. You still have to think about being the bigger person and being kinder because you don't want to fall into a stereotype, and you're the one being abused and misused. I couldn't believe it. But I wasn't going to go there with her because we're still working on decolonizing her, right? And right then and there, she was upset, so I just listened. Okay, cool. So then she sends me the receipt, all of these things. I leave a review. I leave a review online. Y'all want to hear what I said? Okay, let me tell you what I said on the review. I was mad. Do you hear me? Like, I can get over something you do to me. This happened Saturday. My son had to experience this and see this. A 6-year-old has to experience and see why is someone treating my grandmother this way? And then my mother, who is 66, I mean, they used to be considered, a senior citizen, but the way this administration's changing these ages, honey, she won't be a senior citizen until she's 80, okay? But, like, how dare you treat my family this way? So this is what I said. I said, I'm furious. I chose Lester's because it was near the airport and convenient for my 66-year-old mother and 6-year-old son. Big mistake. On Saturday, what was it? July 5th around 11:30 a.m. My mom had a blatantly racist encounter with your waitress, Carol W. The moment Carol approached the table, she didn't introduce herself. She walked up cold and uninterested. That was strike one. I said strike two. Then my mom tried to order an adult meal for my son. Carol insisted on telling her how expensive it was, despite never being asked about price. Why assume she couldn't afford it? Right? Like, how are you going to look at someone and just assume what they can or can't afford? It shouldn't matter how you're dressed. It should. And by the way, she was dressed. Okay, sis was cute. She doesn't leave the house not cute. Let me tell y'all, real side note. I was looking for sweatpants at her house to just go to the neighbor's house for a wind down Tuesday or whatever. I couldn't find sweatpants. I was like, Mom, like, why don't you have sweatpants? She had like these bedazzled tights. Like, sis, we can't be regular here. Like, that's just who she is, super prim and proper. She gets dressed to go to the grocery store. Your girl here is going to put on some sweatpants and a hoodie and a hat, okay? So it shouldn't matter how you're dressed. You shouldn't judge someone based on how they're dressed. Just trying to determine if they can purchase something or not. So I said, then she came over. A simple, harmless request my mother has made at restaurants for 30 years when my mom ordered the water and lemon. Carol told her she'd have to charge $1.50. What do you say? I'm like your mama overtip just to kill them with kindness. Make the point you can't make me hateful just because you are. See, you're right. That's how my mom is. And I'm like, let's go there. You want to be hateful? Okay, I want your job. Okay? Let's be hateful together, right? In the kindest, most compassionate way with a smile on my face and being inclusive, but I'm not tipping you for nonsense. And I'm going to call the manager over right now. Yeah, that's what we're doing. But I understand because my mom's the same way. And so I said, she said, because some people make their own tea. I said, excuse me, why would you assume my mom was trying to scam a cup of tea? Strike three. That's not policy enforcement. That's bias, plain and simple. To top it off, Carol kept passing by, not to check on them, but to watch my mom like a hawk for what? Lemon misuse? What's worse is that even after all that, my mom still tipped 20%. And when I asked her why, she said, I'm not going to play into her stereotype about Black people. That broke me. Let me be clear. And I wanted to be very clear with them. Hey, fearless Gabrielle Henry. I said, let me be clear. I'm not writing this for comps or coupons. I want accountability. Carol W. racially profiled my family. She saw a Black woman and made assumptions, not about who she was, but what she wasn't. My mom's socioeconomic status shouldn't have to come into this. Let's just do better. If this is the kind of behavior you allow, you've lost more than just one customer. You've confirmed exactly why we still can't just go anywhere and expect basic dignity. Like, that's what people want when they go out in the world. Hey, lucky gal, they just want to be respected as a human being. Okay? Then I said, this isn't just bad service. This is systemic bias in action. And I had to end with this. Now, I don't want free shit. I want justice, starting with Carol's job. Let's make that clear. Okay? I don't want anything free. I don't want nothing free from you. We're good. We're good. But I do want justice. I want accountability. So, y'all, let me tell you. Then I called because you're not going to treat my mama and look at her and stereotype her. And we've been poor before, so I don't care about that. It's the fact that you're looking at her skin and you're making assumptions because of her skin. You're treating her in a certain way because of what you think about this thing we're in called skin, called the human body. That's why. It's disgusting. So then I called the people because that wasn't enough. They didn't respond fast enough in the comments. So I called and the lady's like, hi. I was like, hi, may I speak to your manager of the entire place? Okay. Because I worked in retail. I know manager on duty versus the manager of the whole thing. General. I want general manager. And then I want district. Okay. And so because you know what? Racism won't stop until it's expensive. That's when people who don't care about people will stop mistreating people. So I called and I told her, I was like, yeah, I want to talk to your manager about a racist encounter my mother experienced on Saturday. I said I left a comment, but I haven't received a response. So I'm calling to see if your boss is there. Guess what the lady said, y'all? She was like, I am just a supervisor. I help out a couple nights a week, but our manager will be here Wednesday morning. He's off Monday and Tuesdays. And first, I just want to say, I am so sorry for what you experienced. She said, I read the comment, but I'm not allowed to respond. I don't have access to respond. And she said, actually, we've been talking about it at the restaurant. I said, really? You've been talking about it at the restaurant? She said, yes, a lot of us cannot believe. Like, no, she didn't say we can't believe. That's the crazy part. She said, yeah, a lot of us have been talking about it. I'm just so sorry you had to experience that. Now, I could be assuming that she is a Hispanic woman in South Florida, but she had like a Hispanic accent. So I'm assuming. I could be wrong. And she was like, I just want to say, I am so sorry. We are talking about it and we are just, I'm sorry. And that's what she said. So now y'all talking about it, and that's fine. I'm happy you're talking about it because guess what? This is probably not the first time it's happened because she didn't sound surprised. She didn't say, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened. Oh my God. None of that. She didn't sound surprised. She just apologized that we had to deal with it. People, these things happen. And it's insane because you cannot earn your way out of racism. You can't class your way out of racism. You can't smile your way out of racism. You can't comfort your way out of racism because racism happens. Racial bias happens. Prejudice happens because racism is just prejudice plus power, right? Like all of these things happen just from sight. It's because we use our bias instead of getting to know people. We use this framework. I call it the Cliff Notes version of getting to know people. She didn't see my mama. She saw what she reads on the news. She saw what she's heard growing up. She saw maybe an encounter she's had with a black person or several black people. Who knows? But she didn't say, I'm going to treat this individual as an individual and let me determine if she's like anyone I've encountered before, or if she's like the statistics I've read, or if she's like the shit we see on the news. She just looked at skin and said, I'm going to go off this quick template and treat her a certain way. And that is never okay. Regardless of if we're talking about race, if we're talking about disability, if we're talking about gender, believe that they can. Assume that they can, not assume that they can't. What would happen if we just assumed people can, if we just assumed people were good, or we just assumed people were doing the best that they can? There are some shitty people out there, don't get me wrong, in every race. Trust me, I get it. But don't judge the book based on a cover. It's so cliche. But that her judging this book is going to cost her job, because I really don't want anything less. And someone could be like, Amma, wow, that's harsh. You don't know what she's dealing with. You don't know her background. She should have thought about that, because I guarantee this was not her first encounter of being racist at the job. And what if, let's just say, what if, because this has happened to me before growing up when my mom didn't have money. She would save and save and save. And she would use her last little bit, like what she saved up, to take her 2 kids out to eat. So we could feel like other kids and have conversations to talk about in school like other kids did when they would go out to eat with their families. So what if my mom was saving up her last just to take her kids out to eat, her grandson out to eat, to provide this experience for him? And that's what she gets? By someone saying, well, it's expensive. You're reminding this person. Let's just say that was her situation. What if she was poor? You're reminding her that she doesn't belong? You're reminding her that she's othered? That's what we do when we treat people in this way. Like, it was disgusting. And the thing is, I know both worlds. I know having it and I know not having it. And so does she. So what if that was her just trying to provide an experience? And then she gets that experience. That's why I'm going after this for vengeance. It's not for her. She's fine. She's going to the next restaurant. It's not for her. It's for the next mom. It's for the next black person. It's for the next Hispanic person. It's for the next Asian person that comes. And then she got to deal with Carol W.'s nonsense. That's why I want her job. Because I want to support and protect as much as I possibly can in my little box. I want to protect the people that can't necessarily protect themselves. You're right, Day in the Life of an Island Wife. It's extremely exhausting. Because like I said, you can't earn your way. You can't work your way out of racism. You can't smile your way out of racism. You can't nice your way out of racism. Like, what? You can't. We can't do anything to make someone feel more comfortable if they're already judging us before we open our mouths. You can't nicely dress your way out of racism. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you said in ruining the experience that she would have worked so hard for a child. Exactly, y'all. Like, I'm a mother. I know how hard I work to create experiences and memories for my child. And I know how hard my mom worked to create experiences and memories for her children. We were poor. Let me tell you, she would make these, that when turkey was cheap. Y'all, turkey ain't cheap no more. I don't know what happened. Did everybody start eating turkey? Because I remember it was the cheapest thing on the shelf. And now it's the same price as beef. Like, don't know. But she, instead of taking us to fast food restaurants because we didn't have the money for that, she would go and buy the stuff. She would buy the potatoes. She would buy the ground turkey because we couldn't afford ground beef. And she'd be like, Mommy's going to make you these super whooper duper burgers. And they're going to be the best burgers. And Mommy makes the best burgers. So we would look forward to this. We didn't know it's because she had no damn money. We couldn't go out to McDonald's or go out to Chili's or whatever. Like Chili's was a treat. If we did do that, she had to save up for it. And so when you think about mistreating someone, you're also not thinking about what they're carrying with them and what it takes for them to be in that space. It's extremely exhausting. And I'm speaking about this from a middle class perspective. What if everywhere I went, I was treated like this? What if everywhere you go, you're looked at as less than or like you don't belong? Because let's be real, when we're talking about socioeconomic status, you can deal with othering within the same race, right? So I'm just saying, I am not just fighting for her, even though they went wrong when they provided the wrong experience to my mom and my son. Like they would have been done better doing it to me. But I'm also doing this. Hey, Chastanese girl. I'm also doing this as a warning to this organization, to this company, to this diner. You don't treat people that way. And if you have employees that do, you need to get rid of them because that employee is putting your business in harm's way. It's opening your business up for liability, not just from a legal perspective, but also from an experiential perspective. Because don't we want people to enjoy eating at our establishment so they come back? So they tell their friends about it? This could have been a very different post. I could have been on here talking about how amazing my mom's experience was, and everybody's, if you're in Florida, try this restaurant out, and all of these other things. Nope, they're not getting that. They're getting that they are racist. I'm gonna just say it. They have a racist employee there that they need to get rid of. That's what I'm gonna say. And I am not gonna stop. Like this is what they don't understand. Your girl's not gonna stop. If the manager tries to, because well, we know this is what managers do. If they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we can give you 50% off." Did you not read the post? I don't want free shit. I don't want it. I don't want coupons. I don't want none of that. I don't want a discount. I want none of that. I want Carol W.'s job. That's what I want. So what do we need to do to make that happen? Or if not, we're just going to keep making this bigger and bigger because racial profiling is not okay. It's just not. And people have to learn from it. And hopefully Carol does after this experience. So I'm done ranting and raving, but I had to give y'all the update when I left the comment, the review, and I called the restaurant and all the workers were talking about it. And what's so unfortunate was the most unfortunate part, they did not sound surprised. And the diner's been there since the 60s or 70s. And most people will be like, what? In South Florida? In Fort Lauderdale? It's like a melting pot. There can't be racism there. Y'all, it's racism everywhere. So, be vigilant. Oh, yes. Lester's Diner in Fort Lauderdale, Florida is the one right by the airport. Lester's Diner. Don't eat there. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And that's why someone would be so shocked day in the life of an island wife. Like, what? You were in Fort Lauderdale? Like, people go there for a vacation. They do. And there are still areas of racism everywhere you go. It doesn't matter if it's a major city. People bring their racial bias with them. And I think that's why I do this work, because ultimately, and at the end of the day, hey, T. Levy, at the end of the day, we need to treat human beings as human beings. And we need to look at people as humans first. Just allow a human encounter. Yeah, you fly into Fort Lauderdale a lot. Yep, it's right by the airport, so people come and go there all the time. So yes, don't eat at Lester's Diner. We need to treat human beings as human beings. And if we're not sure how to treat them because we have racial bias, which most of us do, internalized racial bias, overt racial bias, all of those things, then let's engage with them just at the bare minimum of how we would want someone to treat us or how we would treat someone just like us. And then be humble enough to say, I I have questions. How would you prefer? Then you have a real conversation. Yes, I like you get it. Love diners. No Lesters. Nope. I know you're always in Fort Lauderdale, being that you live in the Bahamas. Yeah, none. Mm-mm. Nope. It's just sad. It's so sad. And you know what's also crazy? Like my mom didn't want to say anything, and I have to also remember she is a woman that was born in 1959. So at first I was going to judge her. Like, Mom, no, you got to speak up. And my, why did you tip her still? My, why didn't you speak up? I can do all of that and I can have this outrage. And it might be righteous outrage. But then I'll be lacking empathy of what my mom's experience is like and what she has seen growing up in the South. Born in 1959. Okay? I think she was what, 8? Something like that when King was shot. Like the racism she has experienced. And so me coming on this platform and going off on the people and leaving a reel and leaving a review, I'm also operating in a privilege that she did not have. So I can't get upset with her because she is socialized. And though she's working so hard to desocialize herself and decolonize herself, some things are just embedded so deep that I have to also show grace. Because I did not grow up in the time she grew up. So I can be outraged and I can spend time doing this. And I'm also not going to judge her for saying, you know what? They just won't worry about me again. We have to respect both. And if I was on the phone with my grandmother, who's 92 years old, she'd probably be like, girl, just don't worry about those people. No, not worried about those people is what got these people still in business treating people this way. But my grandmother grew up in a time where she would be hung for looking at a white person in their eyes. My grandfather will be hung for not crossing the street when a white person walks by. So I can judge all I want to, but I've never experienced that. But yes, we've come far, further than where they were, and we have so much more to go. But I stand on their shoulders to be able to sit here on a live and go off about racial bias and not really be concerned about the repercussions. And then be all up in their chest and calling like crazy on Wednesday. Absolutely not sure how it's going to be received in front of my son. I know I'm going to have to unpack that with him. How did he feel? What did he see? All of these other things. Because how is he perceiving the world? That's one of the biggest differences from a Black person growing up in America and a Black person growing up in an all-Black country like Jamaica, like Ghana, like Nigeria. Because you get to grow up seeing yourself as the same as everybody else. And studies show what that does to you psychologically. Whereas here in the United States, there are so many messages, subtle and overt, that shows a hierarchy and power dynamics and difference between two races. And that's a huge difference on how it impacts your confidence. And I work so hard as a mom to try my best to show my son fairness and that he's just as good as anyone else. But here in America, there's so many insidious ways it can seep in about differences. It's hard. You said my BFF and I were living in NYC, 2 working professional women shopping at Bloomingdale's. I asked for a dress in a specific size, and the lady said the dress is very expensive. Are you sure? You see? Do you see? And I've met you personally. You look like you could buy up all of Bloomingdale's. Not saying I should judge a book by its cover, but the cover is fly, okay? Like how dare you worked your butt off? You've been in media. You've done so many things. And even you has to deal with someone saying, are you sure the dress is very expensive? It's disgusting. You said, I think it's also important. At the very least, this started a conversation in their staff about the way employee treats. Oh, this is good. High Plains Yogi Mama, you just gave me an idea. Maybe they need my services. I didn't even think about that. But maybe they need to pay me. Steph Curry did that because the Louis Vuitton store did the same thing to his mom. My BFF said, we know what you do for a living. You have no idea what we do. Yes, we are sure we want the trust. That is so good. That is such a good response. Oh, that was good. I love that. I live for that. So yeah, oh, this is such a good idea. So after I, you know, have a conversation with the manager, and even still, you know what? I'm mad. As a Black woman, I'm mad. I'm mad for my mom. I'm mad for my son. But having the conversation, I still have to temper myself and strategize my approach so the person hears me and not hears the stereotype of me. Can you imagine what that's like? So I can't even express my anger because I want to be effective and not written off and put in a box. Because people don't want to expand the box. People just want to put you in a very little box. And so I have to think about my approach to this. So I am not labeled and stereotyped because ultimately I want to be effective. And what does effective mean to me? Carol W. does not have a job at Lester's. And now that High Plains Yogi Mama gave me the idea, I'm going to do like Steph Curry did and create a whole program for them so they can teach awareness. You can't say race in Florida, or I don't think you can say bias. You may or may not be able to say gender, but maybe civility. Teach them civility and how to treat customers, customer service, civility and customer service. There we have it. Yes, we always have to temper our responses and approach. We can never show the true emotion because we will be labeled and we won't be listened to. And then our result that we want won't happen. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And we play this game so well. But man, oh, common courtesy. There we go. That's what it's going to be. Because in Florida, you know, there are so many words you cannot say. I love that. I'm going to write that down. See, this all happened for a reason. Now I'm getting ideas. I'm being validated. This is amazing. This is amazing. Because if I make it only about race, they're not going to hear me. So now I need to make it about common courtesy. And the fact that this is Disability Awareness Month, this is a great time to have that conversation. This is a great time to have that conversation. Because again, what happens when we just assume they can? What happens when we just assume the best of people? Then it creates for a better experience. Okay. Y'all have listened to me rant for 40 minutes. So I just posted about feedback. I put some stats on feedback for my most recent post. I just did it before I hopped on this live. But thank you all for hanging out with me and listening to me and letting me vent, because I know I did the reel, but a reel is only 2 minutes, so I couldn't get it all out. And then I had to give y'all the update from when I left the review and the comment. So then I'm going to have to give you all why do they need customer service 101. I love that. These are amazing. These are amazing. Y'all are giving me some incredible ideas. Thank you for that. I'm going to have to give another update after I talk to the manager on Wednesday. So basically, y'all know we're family, right? Like, this is that inclusion family. And so y'all are in this with me now. So I'm going to have to give you updates so you know what's going on, okay? I'm going to tell you what's happening. Keep you all updated because this is crazy. This is insane. My Lord. I've had 2 race conversations in 1 week. One went incredibly well with the white presenting Caribbean woman, and the other went like this. But this is going to go well too, because it's always working out for our good every time. It just doesn't even matter. It's always working out for our good. So thank you for being here, Day in the Life of an Island Wife. Thank you for being here, Inspirum. Thank you, High Plains Yogi Mommy. Thank you, Chatanese. Thank you, T. Levy. Thank you all for chiming in. Thank you, Ambroshini. Thank you. L. Wood for a 4. GK, yeah. Just all of you for tapping in, listening. Just y'all are amazing. So thank you for the support, like always. All right. Have a wonderful Monday night and a wonderful week. Talk to y'all soon. Signing off. That Inclusion Lady.